A multimillionaire CEO risked his entire reputation by bringing a simple waitress to the most exclusive charity gala in Manhattan. You won't believe what her ex said when he saw them together. The chandeliers of the Plaza Ballroom cast fractured light across champagne flutes and diamond necklaces worth more than most people's houses. Ethan Cross stood at the edge of the marble floor, his hand resting at the small of Maya's back, a touch so light it barely wrinkled the fabric of her vintage dress, the one she'd found at a consignment shop in Brooklyn for $42. He could feel her spine straighten beneath his palm, that particular tension she carried when she was trying not to let the world see her nerves. "You're doing that thing again," he murmured, leaning close enough that his breath moved a strand of her dark hair. "What thing?" Maya's voice had that sharp edge he'd come to recognize as her armor. "Holding your breath like you're about to dive underwater." She exhaled, and he felt it, the small surrender. "I just don't understand why we're here. This isn't us." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Because I need you to see that you belong anywhere I am," he thought. But what he said was, "Because the Hartford Foundation does good work, and because I wanted you beside me." The truth was more complicated. 3 months ago, Ethan Cross had walked into Rosie's Diner on East 47th at 2 a.m, exhausted from a board meeting that had stretched past midnight, and found Maya wiping down tables with the kind of fierce efficiency that suggested she was scrubbing away more than coffee stains. She'd looked at him. Really looked. Not at his Tom Ford suit or his Patek Philippe watch, and said, "Coffee's fresh, but the pie's from yesterday. I'll be honest with you if you'll be honest with me about whether you actually want food or just somewhere to sit that isn't your empty apartment." He'd sat. They'd talked until dawn. And somewhere between her third refill of his cup and his confession that he couldn't remember the last time someone had asked him a question that wasn't about quarterly earnings, Ethan had felt something crack open inside his chest. Now, standing in this sea of Manhattan's elite, watching Maya's fingers twist the small clutch she'd borrowed from her roommate, Ethan wondered if bringing her here had been selfish. If he was asking her to be someone she wasn't, just to prove to himself that the gap between their worlds could be crossed. Ethan Cross. The voice cut through his thoughts like a blade wrapped in honey. "I heard you were bringing a guest. How refreshing." Ethan turned, and there he was, Blake Morrison, Maya's ex-boyfriend, wearing a smirk that matched his overpriced tuxedo. Blake's eyes slid past Ethan and landed on Maya with the kind of dismissive recognition that made Ethan's free hand curl into a fist. "Maya." Blake's tone dripped with false warmth. "Wow. I almost didn't recognize you out of your uniform, though I have to say this is quite the upgrade from the last time I saw you. What was it? Arguing with me outside your apartment about how I didn't understand your dreams." Maya's face went very still. Ethan knew that look. It was the same expression she wore when a customer got too handsy, or when her landlord raised the rent for the 3rd time in a year. It was the look of someone who'd learned to swallow rage, because showing it would only make things worse. "Blake?" she said, her voice carefully neutral. "Still compensating with your father's money, I see." Blake laughed, but there was an edge to it. "At least I'm honest about where I come from. Unlike some people who think dating a CEO makes them suddenly matter." He turned to Ethan, his smile sharpening. "No offense, Cross. I'm sure she's entertaining. But bringing the help to the Hartford Gala? That's a bold choice. What's next? You going to start dating your housekeeper?" The ballroom seemed to contract. Ethan felt Maya go rigid beside him, felt her start to pull away, and something primitive and furious surged through him. But before he could speak, before he could do what every instinct screamed at him to do, which was grab Blake Morrison by his expensive lapels and throw him into the chocolate fountain, Maya's hand found his. Her fingers were cold. They squeezed once, hard, and then let go. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "I need some air." She turned and walked toward the terrace, her shoulders so straight they looked like they might snap, and Ethan started to follow before Blake's voice stopped him. "She'll leave you, you know. Girls like that always do. The moment they realize they're playing in a league they don't belong in." Blake's expression was almost pitying. "Trust me, I learned that lesson already." Ethan looked at him, really looked, and saw something he recognized. Not cruelty, fear. Blake Morrison was afraid of women like Maya, women who dreamed bigger than the boxes men tried to put them in, women who refused to be diminished. "You didn't learn anything," Ethan said softly. "That's why she left you." He walked away, leaving Blake standing alone beneath the chandeliers, and headed for the terrace where Maya stood gripping the stone balustrade like it was the only thing keeping her upright. But before we step deeper into this moment, tell me in the comments where in the world you're listening from. Like this video so this story reaches more hearts, and subscribe to follow what happens next. Because what Ethan doesn't know yet is that Maya isn't who Blake, or anyone else in that ballroom, thinks she is. The November wind off Central Park carried the smell of dying leaves and distant rain. Maya didn't turn when Ethan stepped onto the terrace, but he saw her knuckles whiten against the stone. "I shouldn't have come," she said. "This was a mistake. Maya, don't." Her voice cracked. "Don't tell me he's not worth it. Don't tell me to ignore him. Because the truth is, Ethan, he's right." The apartment Maya shared with 2 roommates in Astoria smelled like burned toast and vanilla candles. It was nothing like Ethan's penthouse in Tribeca, with its floor-to-ceiling windows and its silence that felt like wealth itself. Here, someone's boyfriend was arguing with them through the thin walls, and the radiator clanked like it was trying to communicate in Morse code, and Maya's room, barely bigger than Ethan's walk-in closet, was crowded with books stacked on milk crates and a desk covered in sketches and fabric swatches. "This is where you work?" Ethan asked, picking up one of the drawings. It was a dress design, intricate and bold, with notes scribbled in the margins about sustainable materials and production costs. Maya stood in the doorway, still wearing that vintage dress, looking at him like she was waiting for him to laugh. "It's not much. It's extraordinary." She blinked. "You don't have to. I'm not being polite." Ethan set down the sketch and turned to face her. "Maya, why didn't you tell me you were a designer?" "Because I'm not. I'm a waitress who draws dresses when she can't sleep." Her arms wrapped around herself. "And before you ask why I don't pursue it, let me save you the trouble. Design school costs money I don't have. Starting a brand requires capital, connections, a safety net. I don't have any of that. So I work at Rosie's, I save what I can, and I sketch. That's my life." The rawness in her voice made Ethan's chest ache. He thought about his own journey. Stanford, an MBA his father had paid for without blinking, a trust fund that had cushioned every risk he'd ever taken. He'd built Cross Technologies from the ground up, yes, but he'd never built it from nothing. "What if you had the resources?" he asked quietly. "Don't." Maya's eyes flashed. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Play savior. I've had enough men try to rescue me, Ethan. Blake used to promise he'd take care of everything, if I'd just stop being so stubborn about my little hobby. My father left my mother because she insisted on finishing her degree, instead of being his perfect housewife. I don't need another person who thinks I'm a project." The words hit him like a slap. "Is that what you think this is? I think you're a brilliant, powerful man who's used to solving problems with money and influence. And I think I'm someone who's not a problem that needs solving." She turned away, her shoulders trembling. "Maybe Blake was right. Maybe I don't belong in your world." "And maybe," Ethan said, his voice rougher than he intended, "you're so afraid of being saved that you can't see the difference between someone who wants to control you and someone who wants to see you fly." The silence stretched between them like pulled wire. Finally, Maya turned. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Why me, Ethan? Out of everyone you could have, anyone who'd fit perfectly into that ballroom tonight, why did you choose the broke waitress with impossible dreams? He crossed the small room in 2 steps, close enough to see the gold flecks in her brown eyes, close enough to smell the faint scent of the jasmine perfume she wore, the cheap kind from the drugstore that somehow smelled better on her than any designer fragrance he'd ever encountered. Because every conversation I have in my world is a transaction, he said. Every smile has an agenda. Every word is calculated. And then I met you, and you told me my coffee was terrible and my tie was too tight, and you looked at me like I was just a person. Not a portfolio. Not a stepping stone. Just someone you might actually want to talk to. His hand lifted, hovering near her cheek, not quite touching. You make me feel real, Maya. Like I'm more than the company I built, or the money I've made. And I've spent so long being Ethan Cross, CEO, that I'd forgotten what it felt like to just be Ethan. Her breath caught. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Maya's hand rose and caught his wrist, not pushing him away, but holding him there, her fingers warm against his pulse point. I'm scared, she whispered. Of what? Of wanting this. Of wanting you. Of letting myself believe that someone like you could actually see someone like me as an equal, and not a don't. His thumb brushed her cheekbone, collecting a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. Don't finish that sentence. Because you are my equal, Maya. You're probably better than me in ways I'm still figuring out. She laughed, but it sounded broken. I can't even afford my rent half the time. Money isn't worth. You taught me that. Did I? That first night at Rosie's, you asked me when was the last time I'd done something just because it made me happy. Not because it was strategic or profitable. Just happy. Ethan's forehead dropped forward until it rested against hers, and he felt her exhale shudder through them both. I couldn't answer you. I still can't. But being here with you, in this tiny room with your impossible dreams drawn on paper, this makes me happy. Maya's free hand fisted in his shirt. This is crazy. Probably. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee black because you think cream is unnecessary dairy propaganda. I know you read Toni Morrison when you're sad and listen to Nina Simone when you're angry. I know you send half your tips to your mother even though she never asks for them. I know you're terrified of thunderstorms, but you pretend you're not because your little sister used to be scared, and you didn't want her to feel alone. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. I know enough. You remember all that? I remember everything about you. The radiator clanked. Someone laughed in the apartment above. The city hummed outside the window, a million lives intersecting and diverging, a million stories being written in real time. And in that cramped room in Astoria, Maya Ashford rose on her toes and kissed Ethan Cross like she was drowning and he was air. It was soft, tentative, a question more than an answer. When she pulled back, her eyes were wide. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I, Ethan admitted. His heart was hammering so hard he was sure she could hear it. But I'd like to figure it out, with you. Maya bit her lip. Then, so quietly he almost missed it. Okay. Okay? Okay. A real smile this time, small but genuine. But if you ever try to buy me a dress for one of those galas, I'm making you wear something I design, and it will have sequins. So many sequins. Ethan laughed, and it felt like breathing after being underwater. Deal. 3 weeks later, Ethan sat in his corner office on the 42nd floor of the Cross Technologies building, staring at an email that made his blood run cold. From Richard Cross. Subject, Thanksgiving dinner, and your recent Choices. Ethan, your mother and I expect you for Thanksgiving, as always. We've also heard some interesting rumors about your personal life. I trust you'll bring someone appropriate, should you choose to bring a guest at all. Remember that the cross name carries weight and responsibility. We'll discuss this in person. Dad appropriate. The word sat in Ethan's chest like a stone. His phone buzzed. Maya's name lit up the screen. Maya. Customer just asked if we serve deconstructed coffee. I told him we serve coffee that's very much structured, thanks. Why are people like this? Despite everything, Ethan smiled. He typed back, because they've never had someone tell them no. Maya, you sound like you have experience with that. Maya, wait, do I tell you no? Maya, I do, don't I? Sorry, kind of. Maya, not really sorry. Don't be, Ethan wrote. It's one of your better qualities. His office door opened without a knock, which meant it was either his assistant Julie or his best friend Marcus. And since Julie always knocked, Ethan didn't bother looking up. You're brooding, Marcus announced, dropping into the chair across from Ethan's desk. I can tell because you have that expression you get when you're trying to solve a problem that can't be solved with an algorithm. I'm not brooding. You're absolutely brooding. Marcus leaned back, studying him. Let me guess. Your parents found out about Maya. Ethan's silence was answer enough. Marcus whistled. How bad? My father used the word appropriate. Ouch. Marcus had known the Cross family long enough to understand exactly what that meant. What are you going to do? I don't know. Ethan set his phone down. I want to tell them to mind their own business, but they're my parents, and they've built their entire lives around a certain image. Bringing Maya to Thanksgiving would be like detonating a bomb at the dinner table. So don't bring her. I want to bring her. Then bring her. It's not that simple, Marcus. Why not? Marcus leaned forward. Look, I've watched you date a parade of women who checked every box on your parents' list. Beautiful, educated, from the right families, said all the right things at all the right parties, and you were miserable. Every single time. He paused. I've known you since sophomore year at Stanford, Ethan. I've never seen you look at anyone the way you look at Maya Ashford. Like she's the only real thing in a room full of expensive forgeries. Ethan's throat tightened. She is. Then what's the problem? The problem is that I'm asking her to walk into a firing squad. My mother will smile and ask invasive questions disguised as polite conversation. My father will assess her like a potential acquisition and find her lacking. My sister will probably be fine, but she'll be outnumbered. And Maya? He ran a hand through his hair. Maya deserves better than being judged by people who think worth is measured by zip codes and alma maters. Have you asked Maya what she wants? No. Why not? Because I'm afraid she'll say no, Ethan thought. Because I'm afraid she'll realize that being with me means facing this kind of scrutiny forever, and she'll decide it's not worth it. But what he said was, because I don't know how to protect her from this. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, maybe that's not your job, man. Maybe your job is just to stand beside her and let her decide how to fight her own battles. The words settled into Ethan's bones. That night, he met Maya at a small Italian place in the West Village. Nothing fancy, just red-checked tablecloths and candles stuck in wine bottles and the kind of pasta that made you forget you had problems. She was already there when he arrived, sketching something on a napkin, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing jeans and a sweater that had seen better days. She looked up and smiled, and Ethan felt his entire complicated world simplify into this. Her, here, now. You're late, she said. Traffic. Liar, you were working. He slid into the booth across from her. How do you always know? Because you get this tiny line right here. She reached across the table and touched the space between his eyebrows. when you're stressed about something work-related. It's very subtle. I'm just observant." "Observant," Ethan repeated. He caught her hand before she could pull it back, lacing their fingers together. "Maya, I need to ask you something." Her expression shifted. "That sounds ominous." "My family does Thanksgiving. Big formal dinner, lots of traditions, very cross-family." He was handling this terribly. "I'd like you to come with me." Maya's eyes widened. "You want me to meet your parents?" "Yes." "At Thanksgiving?" "Yes." "Ethan." She pulled her hand back. "I've met your world. That gala was enough to show me that I don't exactly fit the mold of what people expect from someone dating Ethan Cross. I don't care what people expect. But your family will care. Your father sent you that email for a reason." She must have seen his expression change because she added, "You left your laptop open at my place last week. I didn't snoop, but I saw the preview notification. I'm sorry." Ethan's jaw worked. "Then you know what this dinner means. It means I'm being evaluated, like a potential stock investment." Her voice was gentle but firm. "And, Ethan, I'm going to fail that evaluation. I'm a waitress with student loans and a studio apartment in Queens. I don't have a trust fund or a degree from an Ivy League school. I can't talk about summering in the Hamptons or skiing in Aspen because I've never done those things. So what exactly am I supposed to do at this dinner? Smile and nod while your mother asks me pointed questions about my prospects. You're supposed to be yourself. That's what I'm afraid of." The waiter brought their food, cacio e pepe for her, carbonara for him, but neither of them touched it. "I would never ask you to be anyone but yourself," Ethan said finally. "But I also can't pretend that my family isn't difficult. They have expectations, standards. And yes, they'll judge you, and it will be uncomfortable, and I hate that I'm even putting you in this position." He met her eyes. "But, Maya, I can't keep living in two separate worlds. One where I'm the CEO my parents expect, and one where I'm the person I am with you. I need those worlds to collide, even if it's messy." Maya looked down at her untouched pasta. "What if I don't survive the collision? What if you do?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You have a lot more faith in me than I do. Then let me have enough faith for both of us." The silence stretched. Outside, Washington Square Park was full of November life, students and artists, and people who'd never attended a charity gala at the plaza, who'd never been dismissed as the help by someone in a designer tuxedo. "Okay," Maya said finally. "Okay? I'll come to Thanksgiving." She looked up, and her eyes were fierce. "But I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not. If your parents don't like me, that's their problem, not mine." Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. "Deal. And you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise you won't defend me." She held up a hand before he could protest. "I mean it, Ethan. If your mother makes a passive-aggressive comment or your father looks at me like I'm beneath you, I need to handle it myself. Because if you fight my battles for me, it just proves their point. That I'm someone who needs protecting. Someone who doesn't belong." It went against every instinct he had, but he understood what she was asking for. Respect. Agency. The right to stand on her own. "I promise," he said. Maya nodded. Then she picked up her fork and twirled pasta around it with the kind of determined focus that suggested she was already preparing for war. "Hey," Ethan said softly. "Yeah? For what it's worth, I think you're going to surprise them." She met his gaze. "And if I don't? Then they don't deserve to know you." Something flickered across her face. Gratitude, maybe, or fear, or hope. She reached across the table and squeezed his hand once, quick and hard. "Eat your carbonara," she said. "You're going to need your strength." The Cross family estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, looked like something out of a different century. All stone and ivy and windows that reflected the gray November sky like accusations. Maya sat in the passenger seat of Ethan's car, watching the house grow larger, and thought about all the ways this could go wrong. "You're doing the breathing thing again," Ethan said. "I'm fine." "You're gripping that casserole dish like it personally offended you." Maya looked down. She'd made sweet potato casserole, her grandmother's recipe, the one thing she knew how to cook that didn't come from a box, and she was indeed holding it with enough force to crack the ceramic. "Sorry," she loosened her grip. "I just keep thinking about what Blake said at the gala. About playing in a league I don't belong in." Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Blake Morrison is an insecure child in a man's body. His opinion means nothing. But what if he's right? He's not. You don't know that." Ethan pulled the car to a stop in the circular driveway, put it in park, and turned to face her. "Maya, look at me." She did. "You are brilliant, talented, and stronger than anyone in that house, including me. My parents might have money and connections and a family tree that dates back to the Mayflower, but you have something they don't. You have the courage to dream bigger than the box you were born in. And that terrifies people like them because it reminds them that all their wealth and status is just window dressing. Underneath, they're as lost and scared as everyone else." Maya wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. The front door opened, and a woman appeared, tall, elegant, wearing pearls and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ethan's mother. "Showtime," Maya whispered. Catherine Cross greeted them in the foyer with air kisses and appraising glances. "Ethan, darling. And you must be Maya. How lovely." Her eyes dropped to the casserole dish. "Oh, you brought something. How thoughtful." The word thoughtful sounded like an insult. "My grandmother's recipe," Maya said, keeping her voice level. "Sweet potato with a pecan crust." "Pecans. How southern." Catherine's smile remained fixed. "Though I'm afraid our chef has already prepared the menu. But I'm sure we can find room on the table. Somewhere." Ethan's hand found the small of Maya's back. A small touch, steadying. She remembered her promise to him. "Don't defend me." "I'm sure it will be delicious wherever it ends up," Maya said pleasantly. They moved deeper into the house. Everything was pristine, expensive, impersonal. It reminded Maya of a museum, beautiful but untouchable, designed to be admired but never truly lived in. Richard Cross was in his study, a room that smelled like leather and old money. He stood when they entered, tall and silver-haired, with Ethan's jawline and none of his warmth. "Son." A handshake, formal. Then his gaze shifted to Maya. "Miss Ashford, Ethan's told us very little about you." "There's not much to tell," Maya said. "I work at a diner. I'm studying design on the side. I'm from Queens." "Queens." Richard said it like she'd announced she was from Mars. "And your family?" "My mother's a nurse. My father isn't in the picture." "I see." Richard exchanged a glance with Catherine that Maya couldn't quite read. "And your education?" "I have an associate's degree from community college. I had to drop out of a 4-year program when my mother got sick." She didn't add, "Because we couldn't afford both her medical bills and my tuition." Let them fill in the blanks. "That must have been difficult," Catherine said, with just enough sympathy to sound condescending. "It was," Maya agreed. "But it taught me that some things matter more than diplomas." The air in the room shifted. Ethan's sister Vanessa appeared in the doorway, younger, softer around the edges, with her mother's features and a smile that looked genuine. "You must be Maya," she said, crossing the room to shake Maya's hand. I'm Vanessa, and I'm so glad you're here, because Thanksgiving with just my parents is usually a 3-hour lecture on fiscal responsibility and the importance of maintaining the family reputation. Vanessa, Catherine said sharply. What? It's true. Vanessa turned to Maya. Come on, let's put your casserole in the Kit Ashford and get you a drink. You look like you need one. Maya followed her gratefully, leaving Ethan with his parents. As they walked toward the Kit Ashford, she heard Richard's voice, low and clipped. Ethan, we need to talk about your judgment. The Kit Ashford was massive and sterile, all marble and stainless steel. Vanessa poured 2 glasses of wine without asking and handed one to Maya. Sorry about them, she said. They're a lot. It's fine. It's really not, but I appreciate you lying. Vanessa took a sip of her wine. For what it's worth, I think you're brave. Brave or stupid? Maybe both. But mostly brave. Vanessa leaned against the counter. My parents have a very specific vision of who Ethan should end up with. Someone from the right family, with the right connections, who'll look good in the society pages and never challenge the status quo. And you're... She gestured vaguely. Not that. I'm aware. But here's the thing. Vanessa's expression turned serious. I've never seen my brother look at someone the way he looks at you. Like you're the only person in the room. Like you matter more than any deal or acquisition or quarterly earnings report. And that scares my parents because it means they can't control him anymore. Maya's throat tightened. I don't want to come between Ethan and his family. You're not. They are. Vanessa squeezed her shoulder. Just be yourself, okay? Don't let them make you feel small. You're not. Dinner was exactly as excruciating as Maya had feared. They sat at a table that could have seated 20, just the 5 of them clustered at one end, with enough crystal and china to stock a department store. The food was perfect, too perfect, like it had been styled rather than cooked, and the conversation was a minefield. So Maya, Catherine said, delicately cutting her turkey, Ethan mentioned you're interested in fashion design. I am. How charming. A hobby is so important for women. Keeps the mind occupied. It's not a hobby, Maya said evenly. It's my career goal. Of course. Though the fashion industry is quite competitive, isn't it? And without the proper connections or training, Catherine let the sentence hang. I'm aware of the challenges. I'm sure you are. It's just that so many young women have these creative aspirations. And while they're lovely in theory, practicality must be considered. Stability. Security. Catherine's smile was razor sharp. Ethan's world requires a certain grounding, someone who understands the demands of his position. I think I understand Ethan just fine, Maya said quietly. Do you? Richard interjected. Because his position comes with responsibilities that extend beyond him personally. The Cross name carries weight in this city, in this country. The woman beside him will be scrutinized, photographed, discussed. Every choice she makes will reflect on the family. Maya set down her fork. With all due respect, Mr. Cross, I'm not interested in being anyone's reflection. If Ethan and I are together, it's because we choose each other, not because I fit some predetermined role. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. That's very modern of you, Catherine said icily, but perhaps naive. Love is lovely, dear, but it doesn't pay bills. It doesn't maintain legacy. It doesn't ensure the future of everything we've built. No, Maya agreed. But it makes life worth living. At least I think so. Ethan's hand found hers under the table. She squeezed it hard. Maya has a point, Vanessa said suddenly. Not everything is about legacy and reputation. Sometimes it's about being happy. Happiness is a luxury afforded by security, Richard said sharply, and security is built on foundation, family, breeding, shared values, not fleeting infatuation. It's not infatuation, Ethan said, his voice tight with control. Isn't it? Richard turned to his son. You've known this girl for 3 months? And already you're bringing her to family events, introducing her into our world. What happens when the novelty wears off? When you realize you have nothing in common beyond physical attraction? That's enough, Ethan said. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, you're throwing away everything we've taught you for someone who can't even... I said enough. Ethan stood, his chair scraping against the hardwood. Maya is not some girl or novelty. She's brilliant and talented, and she sees me, the actual me, not just the crosshair or the CEO or whatever role you need me to play. And if you can't respect that, if you can't respect her, then we're done here. The silence was deafening. Richard's face had gone red. Catherine looked like she'd swallowed glass. Vanessa was staring at her brother with something like awe. And Maya felt like she was watching her worst fear come true. Ethan, she said softly, it's okay. It's not okay. Please, sit down. He looked at her, conflict written across his face, but he sat. Maya took a breath. Then she turned to Richard and Catherine Cross. I know I'm not what you wanted for your son, she said. I don't have the pedigree or the connections. I work a minimum wage job, and I live in an apartment the size of your wine cellar. But I love him. And I would never, ever ask him to choose between his family and me. She looked at Ethan. Because that's not what love does. Love doesn't issue ultimatums. Maya, Ethan started. I think I should go, she said. She stood, carefully placing her napkin beside her untouched plate. Vanessa reached for her arm, but Maya shook her head. It was lovely to meet you all, she said, with as much dignity as she could muster. Thank you for dinner. She walked out of that dining room with her head high and her heart in pieces. Ethan caught up with her in the foyer as she was pulling on her coat. Don't, he said. Don't run. I'm not running. I'm leaving before this gets worse. It can't get worse. It can always get worse. She turned to face him, and her eyes were bright with tears she refused to let fall. They were right, Ethan. Not about my worth. I know my worth. But about us being from different worlds. I can't be who they need me to be. And I won't let you destroy your relationship with your family for someone they'll never accept. I don't care if they accept you. But I do. Her voice broke. Because you love them, whether you want to admit it or not. And someday you'll resent me for being the reason they don't speak to you. For being the reason you're estranged from your father or your mother hates you. I won't do that to you. Maya, please. I need time. She pulled away from him. I need to think. I need time. She walked out into the November cold, and Ethan didn't follow. Inside, in the dining room, Catherine Cross turned to her husband and said the words that would change everything. I told you she wasn't strong enough for this family. But what neither of them knew, what Ethan was about to discover, was that Maya Ashford was far stronger than anyone had given her credit for. Ethan didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the night after that. Maya had stopped answering his calls. His texts went unread. When he went to Rosie's diner, her manager said she'd called in sick. When he went to her apartment, her roommate said she'd gone to stay with her mother. He was being shut out, and it was killing him. On the 5th day, Marcus showed up at his apartment at 7 a.m. with coffee and bagels and the kind of concerned expression that made Ethan want to throw something. You look like hell, Marcus said, pushing past him into the penthouse. Thanks. Have you eaten? I'm not hungry. Have you slept? Ethan didn't answer. Marcus set the coffee and bagels on the Kit Ashford counter and studied his friend. You need to talk to her. She won't talk to me. Then make her listen. How? She's made it clear she needs space. Space is one thing, disappearing is another. Marcus poured coffee into 2 mugs. Look, man, I get that Thanksgiving was a disaster. Your parents were out of line. But Maya doesn't get to just vanish because things got hard. She thinks she's protecting me. From what? From having to choose between her and my family. Marcus handed him a mug. But you'd choose her. It wasn't a question. In a heartbeat, Ethan said. Then she needs to know that. Not as a text, not as a voicemail. Face to face, where she can see that you mean it. Ethan took a sip of coffee. It was too hot and bitter, but he drank it anyway. Her roommate said she's in Queens. With her mother. So go to Queens. And if she doesn't want to see me, then you try again, and again, however many times it takes. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. You're Ethan Cross. You built a multi-million-dollar company from an idea and a laptop. You don't give up when things get difficult. So why are you giving up on her? The words hit home. 2 hours later, Ethan was standing outside a modest house in Flushing, Queens, holding a bouquet of bodega flowers and feeling more nervous than he'd felt pitching to venture capitalists. An older woman answered the door, small, tired-looking, with Maya's eyes. Mrs. Ashford? Ethan asked. She studied him with the kind of shrewd assessment that suggested she knew exactly who he was. You're the billionaire. I'm Ethan. I care about your daughter very much. Mrs. Ashford didn't move from the doorway. She's been crying for 5 days. You want to tell me why? Ethan's throat tightened. Because I brought her into a situation I should have protected her from. Because my family was cruel to her. Because she thinks loving me means destroying my life. And does it? No. It's the only thing that makes my life make sense. Mrs. Ashford's expression softened fractionally. She's in the backyard. She stepped aside, and Ethan walked through the house, small but immaculate, filled with family photos and the smell of jasmine, and out into a tiny yard where Maya sat on a wooden bench, sketching in a notebook. She looked up when she heard the door, and her eyes widened. Ethan. Your mom let me in. He held up the flowers awkwardly. These are for you. They're not very good. I got them from a bodega on the corner. Maya stared at him. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. A small, broken sound. You came all the way to Queens to bring me bodega flowers? I came all the way to Queens to tell you something. He set the flowers on the bench and knelt in front of her so they were eye level. I love you, Maya. I'm in love with you. And I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to choose between being with me and protecting me from my family. That was never your choice to make. Her eyes filled. Ethan, let me finish. Please. He took her hands. That dinner was awful. My parents were awful. And I should have shut it down the moment they started treating you like you were less than them. I broke my promise to you. I said I wouldn't defend you. But what I should have done was make it clear that disrespecting you meant disrespecting me. That we're a unit. That if they want me in their lives, they have to accept you in it too. But they're your family. And you're my future. The words came out fierce, certain. I don't need their approval, Maya. I need you. Your dreams, your stubbornness, your terrible coffee opinions, the way you make me feel like a person instead of a portfolio. I need all of it. Tears were streaming down her face now. I was so scared. Of what? that you'd realize Blake was right, that I don't belong in your world, that eventually you'd wake up and see me for what I am, just a waitress with impossible dreams. Ethan cupped her face in his hands, wiping away tears with his thumbs. You are Maya Ashford. You're a designer who's going to change the industry someday. You're the woman who called me out for drinking terrible coffee and wearing my tie too tight. You're brilliant and brave and so goddamn strong it terrifies me. His voice cracked. And you belong anywhere you choose to be, including with me, especially with me. Your parents can learn to accept it or they can't, but I'm not giving you up. Not for them, not for anyone. He pressed his forehead to hers. I'm sorry I wasn't clearer about that at dinner. I'm sorry I let you walk out thinking you had to protect me. But I'm here now, and I'm telling you, choose me, Maya. Choose us. Let me fight for this. She was sobbing now, her hands fisting in his shirt. I'm terrified. Me too. What if it doesn't work? What if it does? She pulled back just enough to look at him, and in her eyes he saw everything he'd been too afraid to hope for. Love, trust, belief. I love you too, she whispered. I've loved you since that first night at Rosie's when you stayed until dawn just talking to me. When you looked at my designs like they were art instead of fantasy. I've loved you, and it's scared me because I've never had something this good, and I keep waiting for it to fall apart. It won't. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll fight for it. Every day. For as long as you'll let me. Maya kissed him then, hard and desperate and full of all the fear and hope and love she'd been holding back. And Ethan kissed her back like she was oxygen, like she was home, like she was everything. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Maya said, Your mom is going to hate this. Probably. And your dad. Almost definitely. But Vanessa likes me. Vanessa adores you. Maya smiled through her tears. Okay, let's do this. Let's be terrifying and stupid and in love. That's very romantic. I'm a work in progress. Ethan laughed and pulled her close, and in that small backyard in Queens, with bodega flowers wilting on a wooden bench, everything felt possible. Mrs. Ashford appeared at the back door with tea and a knowing look. You're staying for dinner, she told Ethan. It wasn't a question. Yes, ma'am. Good. And you can help Maya with the dishes after. Maya grinned. Welcome to my world. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else, Ethan said. And he meant it. The email arrived 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday morning when the city was blanketed in the first snow of December. From Richard Cross to Ethan Cross, Board of Directors, Cross Technologies. Subject, Family Matters and Executive Fitness. To the board, it has come to my attention that our CEO has been engaging in a relationship that raises questions about his judgment and his ability to represent the Cross family legacy with the dignity and discretion our investors and partners expect. I am calling an emergency board meeting to discuss Ethan's fitness to continue as CEO and to address concerns about his recent personal choices affecting the company's reputation. This is not a matter of personal preference, but of fiduciary responsibility. Richard Cross, Chairman Emeritus Ethan, stared at the email, his blood turning to ice. His father was trying to remove him from his own company. Marcus burst into his office without knocking, holding his phone. Tell me you saw Richard's email. I saw it. This is insane. He can't do this. He can try. Ethan's mind was already racing through the board composition, voting shares, bylaws. He doesn't have enough votes, not without convincing at least 3 other board members. He'll go after them. He'll use every connection, every favor he's owed. Marcus paced. This is about Maya, isn't it? He's making an example of you. He's making it clear that if I don't end things with her, he'll destroy everything I've built. So what are you going to do? Ethan looked at his friend. I'm going to that board meeting. and I'm going to make a choice. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for Friday, 3 days away. 3 days for Richard Cross to work his magic, to call in favors, to paint Ethan as a reckless CEO putting personal indulgence above corporate responsibility. Ethan could have fought back, could have called his own allies, leveraged his own relationships, played the game his father had taught him. Instead, he did something else. He called Maya. "Hey," she said, and just the sound of her voice steadied him. "You okay? You sound weird." "My father is trying to have me removed as CEO." Silence. Then, "What?" Ethan explained everything. The email, the board meeting, the ultimatum that wasn't explicitly stated but hung in the air like smoke. "Oh my God," Maya breathed. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I'll end things. I'll make it clear that we're not together anymore. No, Maya. I'm not giving you up. Not for him. Not for the company. Not for anything. You can't throw away everything you've built for me. I'm not throwing it away. I'm choosing what matters." He leaned back in his chair, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. The city he'd conquered. The empire he'd built. "I started Cross Technologies because I wanted to create something meaningful. Something that would outlast me. But somewhere along the way, I forgot why that mattered. I forgot that the point of building something great isn't just to have it. It's to use it to make life better. Richer. Fuller." He paused. "You make my life fuller, Maya. You make it real. And if I have to choose between a company and you, I choose you. Every time." He could hear her crying on the other end of the line. "Don't cry," he said softly. "I'm crying because you're an idiot. Probably. And because I love you so much, it hurts. The feeling is mutual. What are you going to do at the board meeting?" Ethan smiled. "I'm going to tell the truth." Friday arrived cold and bright. The Cross Technologies boardroom was on the top floor, with windows overlooking all of Manhattan, a view that had always felt like victory. Today it felt like goodbye. The board members filed in. Venture capitalists, family friends, investors who'd been with Ethan since the beginning. And Richard Cross, sitting at the head of the table like a king ready to pronounce sentence. "Gentlemen," Richard began, "thank you for coming on short notice. We have a delicate matter to discuss regarding our CEO's recent behavior and its impact on this company's reputation." Ethan didn't let him finish. "Actually," he said, standing, "I'd like to address the board directly, if that's acceptable." Richard's eyes narrowed. "Ethan, it's my company. I think I'm entitled to speak." The room went quiet. Ethan walked to the front, hands in his pockets, looking at the faces of people who'd believed in him, invested in him, trusted him with their money and their faith. "My father is right," he began. "I've been making choices lately that don't fit the mold of what a Cross Technologies CEO should look like. I've been dating a woman who isn't from our world, who doesn't have the connections or the pedigree that would make this board comfortable, who works as a waitress while pursuing her dream of becoming a fashion designer." He paused. "And I'm in love with her." Someone shifted uncomfortably. Richard's face was stone. "My father believes this relationship reflects poorly on Cross Technologies, that it suggests I'm not serious about my responsibilities here, that I'm allowing personal indulgence to compromise my judgment." Ethan met Richard's gaze. "And maybe he's right. Maybe falling in love with someone who challenges me, who sees me as a person instead of a title, who makes me want to be better. Maybe that does compromise my judgment, because it's made me realize something I should have known all along." He turned to address the full board. "I built this company because I believed technology could change lives. Not just make profits, though we've done well there, but actually make the world more connected, more human. And somewhere in the process of building quarterly reports and managing investors and maintaining the cross-family reputation, I lost sight of that. I started measuring success by stock price instead of impact, by appearances instead of substance. "Ethan," Richard started. "I'm not finished." Ethan's voice was steady. "Maya Ashford reminds me every day why I started this company. She's using her creativity to imagine a more sustainable fashion industry. She's working 3 jobs to support her mother and save for a dream most people would have given up on. She's building something real with her own hands, her own vision, her own courage. And yes, dating her has changed me. It's made me question whether I'm running cross-technologies for the right reasons, whether I'm building something meaningful or just maintaining an image." He looked around the room. "So here's what I'm proposing. If this board believes my relationship with Maya Ashford compromises my ability to lead this company with integrity and vision, then vote me out. I won't fight it. I won't make this ugly. I'll step down quietly and let someone else take the helm." He paused. "But if you do that, you should know what you're really voting for. You're voting for a world where love is a liability, where caring about someone from a different background is a scandal, where the only thing that matters is maintaining an image that serves no one but our own egos." The room was dead silent. "I refuse to live in that world," Ethan said quietly. "I refuse to build a company in that world. So yes, I'm compromised. I'm in love with someone who makes me better. Someone who challenges me to be more than just a CEO with a trust fund. And if that disqualifies me from leading cross-technologies, then so be it." He sat down. Richard looked like he'd swallowed acid. "That was quite a speech, son, but this board has a fiduciary duty. I'd like to call for a vote," said Marcus, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner as the company's CTO. "All in favor of keeping Ethan Cross as CEO, say aye." The vote wasn't even close. 10 ayes, 2 abstentions. And Richard Cross, sitting alone in his opposition, his face a mask of fury and something else. Something that might have been disappointment or might have been grudging respect. "Motion carries," Marcus said. "Ethan stays." Richard stood, buttoning his suit jacket with sharp, angry movements. "This isn't over." "Yes," Ethan said quietly. "It is." His father walked out without another word. Later, when the board had dispersed and the office had emptied, Ethan sat alone in his office, looking out at the city lights. His phone buzzed. "Maya. I heard what happened. Marcus called me." "Ethan, you didn't have to." "Ethan, yes, I did." "Maya, you could have lost everything." "Ethan, I couldn't lose you. That would have been everything." "Maya, where are you?" "Ethan, office." "You?" "Maya, on my way." She arrived 20 minutes later, snow in her hair, wearing her waitress uniform under her winter coat because she'd come straight from her shift. She walked into his office like she owned it, and maybe she did. Maybe she owned every part of him that mattered. "You're insane," she said. "Probably. You stood in front of your entire board and chose me over your company. I chose us over fear." Maya crossed the room and kissed him, hard and desperate, tasting like coffee and snow, and tomorrow. When she pulled back, her eyes were fierce. "I'm going to make this worth it." "You already have." "No, I mean it. I'm going to build something amazing. Something that makes you proud. Something that proves I was worth the risk." "Maya," Ethan cupped her face. "You don't have to prove anything. You already are worth it. Just by being exactly who you are." She smiled through tears. "I love you, you ridiculous man." "I love you too." Outside, the snow kept falling, covering Manhattan in white, making everything clean and new and possible. 6 months later, The Hartford Foundation Gala looked exactly the same as it had the year before. Same chandeliers, same champagne, same people in expensive clothes pretending they cared about charity more than being seen. But this time, when Ethan Cross walked in with Maya Ashford on his arm, everything was different. She was wearing a dress she'd designed herself, a stunning piece in deep emerald silk that had been featured in Vogue's Designers to Watch issue. Her small sustainable fashion line, launched with investment from 3 of Ethan's board members who believed in second chances and good risks, had sold out its first collection in 48 hours. More importantly, she was wearing a ring. They'd gotten engaged on a Tuesday in her apartment in Astoria, with no fanfare and no plan. Ethan had simply looked at her, covered in fabric swatches and coffee stains, and asked if she'd marry him. She'd said yes before he could even finish the question. Now, walking into the ballroom where Blake Morrison had once tried to make her feel small, Maya held her head high. And right on cue, there he was, still smug, still insufferable, still convinced his family's money made him important. Well, well, Blake said, swirling his whiskey. If it isn't the happy couple. I heard you got engaged. Congratulations, Cross. I'm sure the prenup was thorough. Ethan felt Maya's hand tighten on his arm, felt her preparing to respond with one of her signature sharp comebacks. But before she could speak, someone else cut in. Morrison. The voice was cold and female. Catherine Cross appeared beside them, elegant in her pearls, her expression unreadable. I don't believe anyone asked for your opinion on my son's engagement. Blake's smile faltered. Mrs. Cross, I didn't mean... Yes, you did, and you were wrong. Catherine turned to Maya, and her expression softened in a way Ethan had never seen. That's a beautiful dress, my dear. Did you design it yourself? Maya blinked, clearly as shocked as Ethan. Yes, I did. It's extraordinary, as is your collection. I read the Vogue piece. Very impressive. Catherine paused. I wonder if you might consider designing something for me. For the Spring Museum benefit. Nothing too avant-garde. I'm not ready for that yet, but perhaps something that shows I'm not completely stuck in the past. It was an olive branch. Small, tentative, but real. Maya smiled. I'd be honored. Catherine nodded. Then, to Blake. The bar is that way, Mr. Morrison. I suggest you find it. Blake retreated, and Catherine turned back to Ethan and Maya. Your father isn't here tonight, she said quietly. But he asked me to tell you that he's reconsidering some things. His approach. His priorities. She touched Ethan's arm briefly. It's not an apology. Not yet. But it's a start. Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. Thank you, Mom. Don't thank me. Thank your stubbornness. And Maya's courage. Catherine's eyes met Maya's. I wasn't kind to you at Thanksgiving. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. Maya's eyes filled. Thank you. That means more than you know. Catherine nodded once, sharp and regal, then disappeared into the crowd. Ethan pulled Maya close, pressing a kiss to her temple. You okay? I think your mother just apologized to me. I think she did. And designed me a dress for her benefit. Also true. Maya laughed, turning in his arms to face him fully. This is insane. 6 months ago I was terrified of this world. And now I'm designing dresses for society matrons and wearing a ring that probably costs more than my annual rent. You deserve all of it. I deserve you. She kissed him softly. Thank you for not giving up on me. On us. Never. The music shifted. Something slow and romantic that seemed designed for moments exactly like this. Ethan led Maya onto the dance floor, pulling her close, and they moved together like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. Around them, people watched. Some with approval, some with curiosity, some probably still wondering what Ethan Cross saw in the waitress from Queens. But Ethan didn't care, because he knew what they couldn't see. The late-night conversations about dreams and fears, the way Maya challenged him to be more than his balance sheet, the quiet moments when they were just two people trying to build something real in a world that often felt fake. "Hey," Maya said softly, her head resting on his shoulder. "Yeah? Remember when you asked me if I was ready for your world to collide with mine? I remember. I think they did more than collide. I think they merged." Ethan smiled against her hair. "Is that a good thing?" "It's the best thing." She pulled back just enough to look at him, her eyes bright. "Because your world taught me that I can dream bigger than I thought possible. And my world taught you that the best things in life aren't bought. They're built. Together." "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You were just too rich to notice." He laughed, and she grinned, and they kept dancing as the snow began to fall outside the plaza windows, covering the city in white. Somewhere across the ballroom, Vanessa Cross raised her champagne glass in their direction, smiling. Catherine stood beside the bar, watching her son with something that might have been pride. And even Richard Cross, who wasn't there but would hear about it later, would have to admit that sometimes the biggest risk yields the greatest return. But none of that mattered as much as this. Ethan and Maya, together, building a future that belonged to both of them. The song ended. Another began. They kept dancing. In the end, this story isn't really about a billionaire bringing his girlfriend to a gala where her ex tried to humiliate her. It's not even about a CEO risking his company for love, or a designer building her dream from nothing. It's about the courage to stop performing for other people's expectations and start living for your own truth. About understanding that real love isn't found in perfect matches or strategic partnerships. It's found in the messy, terrifying, beautiful collision of two people who choose each other despite every reason not to. It's about knowing that the right person doesn't complete you. They challenge you to become more complete yourself. Ethan didn't need to prove to his family or his board or Blake Morrison that Maya was worthy of him. She already knew her worth. What he needed to prove was that he was willing to build a life based on something more substantial than legacy and reputation, on partnership, respect, and the kind of love that makes you braver than you ever thought you could be. And Maya didn't need Ethan to save her, or fund her dreams, or validate her existence. What she needed was someone who would stand beside her while she saved herself, who would celebrate her victories without claiming credit, who would love her not despite her struggles, but because of the strength those struggles had forged. That's the real story. Not the gala or the board meeting or the engagement ring, but the choice, made over and over again, to see each other clearly and love what they found. If this journey moved you, if it reminded you that the best love stories aren't about princes rescuing princesses, but about equals choosing to be brave together, leave your rating from 0 to 10 in the comments. Tell me what resonated. Tell me which moment made you believe. And if you think some stories don't just entertain but change how we see love, ambition, worth, and courage, subscribe for the next journey. Because there are more stories to tell, more hearts to reach, more truth to share. Until next time, remember, the person who's right for you won't ask you to dim your light. They'll just stand beside you and learn to shine brighter themselves.